What's up, guys? Welcome back to another monetary recap video, and today we will be going over some of the quality points that I have analyzed for AMD and why I do think that it will make a retest of all-time highs. Now, we previously were correct on our Tesla call, and we have been correct multiple times on our Hex call, and so I feel like that we will be repeating, not that I just feel like, but I'm convicted that we will be repeating this pattern. And so just with simple Fibonacci retracement levels, you can see that AMD has found a very nice support at $99. It's hit this twice now. It hit it in March and it hit it also in January, and it looks like it's primed to hit it again in April. I think if it hits again in April, I think this will confirm a quadruple bottom, because there, as you can see, there are 3 wicks here, which would signal 3 bottoms in the short term that we've had previously. But also if one goes back to this is November, no, this is actually October of last year, we were also seeing some of these $99 wick candles for AMD, and that means it's really defined itself above this range as it's had its breakouts. And so what I think some people aren't realizing is almost every single earnings call for AMD has been just blowing it right out of the boat. I mean, it's been just phenomenal. It's a good growth. And the good thing that's to do is to compare AMD to other chip processors. So looking at AMD's PE ratio compared to NVIDIA's PE ratio, there's a massive difference. Okay, AMD has a lower PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, so that means that they're not overinflated or overvalued compared to NVIDIA. Not that NVIDIA is a bad company, but compared to their current price and their valuation and their earnings and stuff like that, these metrics are very key in just valuating. And when you have valuations in mind for a certain stock, it's easy to weed out any downgrades, upgrades. You can look at fundamentals, you can look at sentiment, and then you can have your own. That's how I like to compartmentalize my trading. And if you don't have your own set of defined levels that you want to buy a stock at, that you want to sell a stock at, you don't have set bullet points to say, okay, if the CEO changes tomorrow, I'm going to sell the stock. You are lost in this space. You need to be well versed in getting in and getting out at the right times. And so I think we're here to help you with that, guys. So just taking a very rudimentary look at AMD, from going from $99 ish to about $135 is a nice $36 gain, which is pretty phenomenal if you're to hold it through that little bull run, right? But also back up to 165 is even more massive. That's $65. That is more than a 2x. That's 60%. That's a 60% gain, at least, minimum. You decide to get into options with that is massive. Okay, those gains there are life changing. I know personally of people who have made life-changing amounts on AMD just by playing very simple safe calls. Now, this is watch list advice. This is not trading advice. It's not financial advice. This is just what you should have on your watch list. You should look at AMD. The earnings call is coming up. It's coming up at the 26th, the 29th, if I'm not mistaken, of April. And it will be a defining period for AMD. AMD has seen, a downturn because of, all these worries in the market. It's seen substantial pullback, and, it's almost down 50% from its all-time high. Maybe a little less than that, maybe a little more conservative, like 30%, but it's at a discount. And if you want to play options, depending on your risk level, you can also do spreads. Spreads, negate some of the things that happen to naked calls that doesn't happen to certain spreads. You can do condors, you can do a whole bunch of things. What I would recommend is the safest thing to do is find some relatively cheap calls that are in the money. Don't go too short on the expiration date. Be willing to lose it. But what you can simply, base your trade logic off of is, people are going to buy up into the earnings. If AMD keeps dipping, you're the only one who's really buying. Everyone else is selling. So you may look like the short-term fool, but when the market sentiment changes and the second we get relief rallies, AMD is going to be the second one to pop alongside the SPY. As soon as SPY pops, people start looking for other opportunities. And once you look into the fundamentals like the institutions do, they load up on this. While all the other, retail investors sell, all the institutions are loading up because they understand they have well-defined strategies of scenarios when they will buy a stock and when they will sell a stock. It is very simple to them. It is a numerical game. To us retailers, it's an emotional gain. It's our paychecks. It's what we worked for. Seeing 10% swings is crazy. If you work really hard and you lose 10% because, you had conviction in play, you will quit. I don't blame you. You will quit. But, if you stayed in that position that you had so much conviction, and you may well have been right, you may turn 100x, not 100x, but 100%, and you sold for a 10% loss. So even if you were to negate those, you would still have come out with 90% profit after you broke even if you went into loss originally. The goal is to not lose money. I get that. But you have to have a certain risk tolerance. It's almost like a marriage. It's not going to be perfect. It may be terrible at the start of it, but if you stay through it, you understand what you got yourself into, and you also did your research before you got married or you bought a stock, you will be good in the long run. If the fundamentals are good, your stock is good. Okay? The stock market, in essence, is an emotional game. If it was just a numbers game, everyone would know AMD is a good stock, and there just wouldn't be any price fluctuations. If everything was perfect all the time, everyone would just never sell, right? So if there's emotion to it and they cloud your judgment, they make you think these things, they make you lose sleep, it stresses your life, you're worried about these percentages, then they get to you. It's not a great conspiracy theory, but imagine all the people putting out the news. Where did they get their news from, right? You didn't see any news that they got their news from, that they created their headlines from. They got some piece of news that was, either public news that dropped at some ungodly hour you weren't awake, or maybe you could think, who did they ask these people? They asked Deutsche Bank. Okay, Deutsche Bank downgraded it. That's because he thinks that the entire boom of AMD started because of COVID. Excuse me, I do not think that is true. The boom for CPUs, for GPUs, for computers has forever been around, and it is only steadily and growing. As everyone wants a metaverse, it doesn't matter. We need processing power. We need processing power for our electric cars. We need processing power for our computers, our phones, our defense systems. Everybody needs electronics. AMD's inventory turnover is 5 compared to NVIDIA's 2.5. They may have smaller profit margins, but they are turning over their inventory at a 5 times return. 5 times per quarter. Compared to NVIDIA's 2.5 times. It means they are selling out. They cannot get enough stock in that they are selling out and have to replenish 5 times per quarter. And that sounds very small, but imagine the production that they have for each inventory line. That is massive. They are selling out. They can't produce enough. That means that there's a demand, there's a constraint, right? The price is only rising, supply is bottlenecked. Right? The needs are going up. People want it more. People are willing to pay more. People are losing money in inflation, but they're still spending. People will always spend. People will always find a way to spend. There will always be people who need electronics, unless we find some kind of new quantum computing that, only a certain stock understands how to do, then, I think AMD will forever rival Intel. That's a for sure bet. Intel is still a good stock, if you have a lower risk tolerance. But, NVIDIA, I think, is overbought. Compared to AMD, AMD is a very oversold stock. It is the stock I think people should keep a lookout for, because I think earnings will produce a very shocking result if the price momentum keeps up. And, if we stay under $100 leading up to earnings, you would be a motley fool to not fall for it, okay? You do not play earnings. Do not play the day of earnings. Do not play the day before earnings. Get out a week before. But play like a logic investor, all right? You see people see fire, right? They're all going to start running to the exit, right? People have not made it out the door yet, but you can understand what they're going to do. Now, maybe they don't go out the door. Who knows, right? But your first instinct, you're going to see some people do it, right? So some people are going to have the notion, oh my God, AMD's going to have earnings. I'm going to buy it up, right? So you just sell to those people. You can sell calls, you can sell puts, do whatever you want to do. Make Delta your best friend. But, all we want at Monetary Recap is for you guys to make some money. So please check out our Discord. We're going to be launching that very, very soon with an official reveal. And we're going to have, I think the mintest Discord on the block. No paid anything, no ads. We're not trying to sell you anything. We just want to build a community. We want to earn everyone wants to earn a sack, right? Everyone wants to get out of this rat race, right? So this has been Monetary Recap, guys. Hope you enjoy our videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Have a nice night.